Today is the 15th of June. Four news stories for you. The US is going to send special forces to Kenya. Why is Joe Biden government sending special forces to Kenya? Trump had withdrawn several hundred soldiers from Somalia. Why is now Joe Biden government going to send special forces to Kenya? In the second news story, a suicide bomb blast has taken more than a dozen lives in Mogadishu, Somali capital. Thirdly, the UAE seems to be cutting its links with Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmad. A UAE government-backed news source has aired content which is very critical of Prime Minister of Ethiopia. Lastly, Ethiopian government is set to start direct flights to and from Shire town of Tigray. Let's look at the first news story. The US is going to send special forces to Kenya. Joe Biden, US President, has written a letter to the US Congress informing that the US will send its special forces in Kenya. The purpose of the deployment of US forces in Kenya is to fight Al-Shabaab, viewers. Because Al-Shabaab has been a threat to this region. We have seen that Somalia has been fighting Al-Shabaab for several years. Al-Shabaab has attacked Kenya as well in the past. In 2015, Al-Shabaab attacked a university in northern Kenya in which more than 150 students were killed. So US is not going anywhere from this region. Though Trump announced withdrawal of US forces from Somalia, but it seems that Joe Biden is reversing decisions made by Donald Trump, and US is now sending troops, special forces to Kenya. US will increase its presence, its military presence in the Horn in the coming days, it seems. Though US-Ethiopia ties are worsening, viewers, it seems that in other countries of the Horn, US is going to step up its military presence. Second news story is from Somalia, viewers. Today, a suicide bomber hit Mogadishu, capital of Somalia. A military recruitment center was targeted, where suicide bomber blew himself up, viewers, and more than 20 persons have been killed. Most of the killed were youth who came there for recruitment, viewers. Al-Shabaab has claimed responsibility for this attack, a deadly attack, viewers, and it is being said that some soldiers, Somali soldiers trained in Turkey, have also been killed in that attack. Al-Shabaab has significant presence in Mogadishu, viewers. Mogadishu is capital of Somalia, and you can see that if Al-Shabaab can hit Mogadishu, you can imagine its presence in other areas of Somalia. So Somali politicians, Somali government, federal government, Somali federal member states, they have been trying to fight the threat of Al-Shabaab. They need more concerted efforts to fight Al-Shabaab. Third news story is about UAE, viewers. UAE has been a key backer of Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmad. And TPLF leaders claim that UAE provided combat drones to Ethiopian federal forces, and the combat drones proved the difference between Tigray Defense Forces and Ethiopian National Defense Forces, and the combat drones destroyed ammunitions, weapons, and other types of logistics of TDFs. Though UAE denies all these allegations, it rejects all these allegations, but TPLF leaders and several news outlets, they have confirmed that UAE has been backing Ethiopian government. But now it seems that the UAE is changing its position. Is it due to strained US-Ethiopia relations that UAE is also changing its position? Iram News is a UAE government-backed news source, viewers. And Iram News has aired a documentary about Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmad. title of this documentary is Seventh King of Ethiopia Chosen from God. This documentary is very critical of Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmad, and it's very surprising that UAE, which was a key backer of Prime Minister of Ethiopia, is now trying to distance itself from Ethiopian Prime Minister views. I'll show you a few snippets of this documentary, but it's in Arabic views. Lastly, viewers, Ethiopian government is set to start direct flights to Shire town. Shire is in the heart of Tigray, viewers, and Bilin Siom, spokesperson of Ethiopian government, just a few minutes ago announced that in 1 or 2 weeks, Ethiopian government is planning to resume direct flights to and from Shire. An important development. It seems that now Ethiopian government sees itself in control of Tigray war. That is why Ethiopian government has decided to start direct flights to and from Shire. Lastly, Bilin Siom in the press briefing just a few minutes ago said that fake images and fake videos are being used about use of chemical weapons in Tigray. She shared some pictures as well in the press briefing, and she said that disinformation is being spread to claim that Ethiopian government is using chemical weapons in Tigray. Watch 2 videos. First video shows Aram News showing a documentary criticizing Prime Minister of Ethiopia. Second video is snippets of Bilin Siom's press briefing, which happened just a few minutes ago. Nothing for watching.
ظهر على الساحة الدولية بشخصية مثيرة للجدل عبر سلسلة من السياسات التي قدمته في بعض الأحيان بشخصية رجل السلام الحدثي صاحب نوبل، رافعا شعارات الإصلاح السياسي ومنهيا لحرب مريرة مع إريتريا. امتدت هذه الحرب إلى 2 عقدين من الزمن، وعلى النقيض رجل الحرب الحالم بحكم إمبراطوريته الدينية الخاصة. ساد التفاؤل وارتفعت الآمال، ولكن سرعان ما انقلب.
Preparations are also under their final stages for the resumption of direct flights to the town of Shire within the next 1 or 2 weeks, making that even much more easier for humanitarian actors and as well as other people that want to access the region to go through. With regards to food supplies and food assistance, I would like to also reiterate again what has been shared by the National Disaster Risk Management Commission previously, that more than 170,000 metric tons of food have been distributed so far in the region for those requiring assistance, and this has been done in 3 rounds, currently in the 3rd round, going deeper with international and local partners. So the government of Ethiopia, World Food Programme, World Vision, Care International, Food for the Hungry, and a local NGO, REST, remain as the key providers of food assistance thus far. Other humanitarian actors willing to support are encouraged to augment current efforts underway in support of our people within the Tigray region. Related to the Tigray region, we've covered this before, but I would like again to bring to your attention aspects of disinformation that are still materializing. This continuation of fake news, disinformation, and data distortions are still at play whereas it pertains to the Tigray region. So support for our people of Tigray entails accurate data-driven information and not alarmist polemics, as the government remains front and center in the rehabilitation and rebuilding of lives and livelihoods in the Tigray region. I would like to draw your attention to the screen on my left-hand side to give you a taste of some of the fake news that is being circulated. As you can see in the images being screened, some of the fake news that is being circulated widely, claiming chemical weapon attacks. We of course know that social media is rife with fake news, but What is quite concerning is that some of these fake news and false narratives are being perpetrated by individuals that the international media and international organizations are dependent on to give testimony on what is transpiring within the region. But unfortunately, they're doing so utilizing images that have been at play in other contexts, representing and depicting them as if they're happening within the Tigray region. So as you can see, this is, or these images, the fake news being used under Tigray, and the source of images used in cases unrelated to Ethiopia is one key challenge that needs to be addressed because the purpose is trying to utilize these disinformation campaigns to pressure and give weight to decisions that are not representative of the reality in the region. So moving on, again, very briefly, I would like to touch upon media portrayal of some issues. I would like to quickly address one elephant in the room, and this is related to sensational headlines by some global media outlets feeding disinformation to sway global perspectives and sentiments about Ethiopia at the